Radical.
You know, some people are predicting a gaming industry crash. And by some people, I mean a lot of outlets, a lot of articles I'm reading right now. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of YouTube videos talking about this topic. This is not going to be one of the best one of those because I have about 4 or 5 minutes of research that's went into this. So we'll go with it. A video game crash. I don't know all the details about the 1983 video game crash, but I know it resulted in a lot of buried ET cards. And that the details of that crash would be different from this one. But what brought us out of that original crash is a little plumber named Mario, the original Nintendo Entertainment System that many people say is the greatest console of all time. I mean, some people would rank the PS2, even the 360 above the original Nintendo, the Super NES, for instance. But the importance of the original Nintendo Entertainment System cannot be understated. That system had a lot of great games on it. It was completely a new way of thinking about consoles. The platformer, I mean, so many great games on the NES, a lot of stinkers too. But it defined gaming in general. It brought us into this new prosperous era. So the importance of the NES cannot be understated. And that system brought us out, helped bring us out of that video game crash of 83. But right now we got a different situation. And it's not that there's not a lot of interest in buying video games, but it's on the other end, meaning PlayStation has laid off 900 people I've seen here. EA has cut about 5% of its workforce, and they've canceled a Star Wars game. It's not good. That means there's either not enough money to put into these huge AAA multi-million-dollar productions, or it means they're just trying to get a good bit of profit, and that same profit is not there. There's a lot of things that could attribute to a market crash on anything. We saw in vehicles. A lot of people just do not have the money to spend on these $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 new cars and trucks. They just don't have that kind of money. So you see a lot of those cars sitting on lots. Is the same thing happening in video games where new games are not $60 now, but they're $70. And if they don't sell a certain amount, it costs more money to make them. You might have the argument, well, they're pumping so much money into these huge AAA releases. The answer could be, I guess, to lay off people. Like I said, PlayStation laid off 900 of its staff. I think that's maybe 6%. Okay, 5 or 6%. I know Xbox, they have some cuts over there. I don't know from what I'm reading here if this is definitely going to be a video game crash, at least not the same way as 83, but they're bad signs. They're poor signs right now. But could it be something like GTA 6 that brings people back? Could a lot of people that have not invested in a Series X or a PlayStation 5 right now? Because believe it or not, the PlayStation 5, the sales, I read somewhere, are actually under what they thought it would be for their projections. So I'm like, damn, if a PS5 is, I mean, probably the second most popular console behind the Switch, but if a PS5 is not selling as much as they thought it would right now, the Switch 2, there's something about the Switch 2 here I'm not going to get into, but it could be something like a GTA 6. I mean, how long has it been since a last GTA game? 2013, over a decade since that. But that's the kind of game, you know, I sell games at the flea market on the weekend. A lot of people bring that game up when I'm demoing GTA 4 or 5. There's people right now. What the fuck? Okay, sorry. You know, weird thing is I just had a momentary crash. My screen just refreshed. I had a crash. But getting back to the crash and everything. If it does happen, I'm not the industry analyst. I'm not the insider. I'm not telling you right now if there is going to be a crash or not. I'm not telling you that there's other YouTubers out there that definitely know if there's going to be a crash or not. Truth is, I don't think any of us really know. But if there is a crash, what could be some positives of that? Well, positive is if there's less games coming out every year, guess what you can do? You can look back into your backlog. I'm sure all of you, most of you have a backlog of games, even if you played through a game 10, 15 years ago. Maybe you want to go and rediscover a game, a great game. We're in a situation right now, unlike 1985, there's 4 decades of amazing games to go back and play. Just think about how many games are out there to experience. So if there is a crash and production of new games comes to a halt, let's not pretend that there aren't still a lot of good to great games coming out every year, but we have decades upon decades upon decades of games to go ahead and rediscover. So if the crash happens, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to lose any sleep. As long as my GTA 6 comes out next year, that's mostly what I'm kind of focused on right now. So yeah, open up them backlogs if a crash does happen. So that's my 5-10 minutes talking about this, along with my 5 to 10 minutes of research. What do all of you think? Some of you that are in the know, some of you that are closer to industry insiders, possibly, tell me, let me know. Do you think it's going to be a video game crash?